Welcome to another edition of the Boisvert MMA Roundhouse. Today we're going to talk about the last Bellator card and UFC's 211 card. A lot of controversy again, here and there. Dustin, what'd you think about Paul Daly losing and immediately calling out MVP?
I thought Rory was going to win that fight from the get-go, and I think he's just on a way higher level than most of the guys in his weight class over there. He definitely did what he had to do, took him in, grappled him. I mean, I think Rory knew that was the way to win that fight, but awesome win. In the aftermath, it's 50-50. I see why Paul did it. It lined him up for his next fight, you know. I think they're going to make that happen, especially now after all the craziness that happened after he said the shit.
I thought it was very strange. You don't, especially MVP, you don't lose and then call out MVP. With us today is CHAZ, ACKLES, great friend of ours. What did you think? You had said earlier you thought it was a great move, and I agree with it as far as strategics, but how do you call out MVP after losing?
I get that. I think he's obviously he used the facts that he got out grappled and out wrestled, and they know it's going to be a stand-up war with him and MVP. So, I mean, for his career, he deserves it. He's been around a long time. It's like Nick Diaz stepping in to fight Conor or Nate fighting Conor. I mean, they kind of deserve it. You know, Paul goes in there and leaves it in there every single time. That's going to be a great fight, by the way. You're not talking about a fight that people aren't going to tune in to watch. That's going to be the press conferences. They've already set it all up. It's going to be, fun to watch.
So I guess at this point, my question is, do we even need rankings anymore? I mean, not like they were ever unified or in any way anyway, but what's the point anymore if I can come off a loss and call out the hottest guy? Why can't I just, why do I have to win a fight to get the belt then? Do you guys know what I'm saying?
I do. I think in this situation, the opponents that MVP has fought aren't even close to the number of tough, bad dudes that Paul Daly has fought.
Yeah,
man.
I agree with you on that.
The toughest of the toughest, and he's never backed down from a fight. So if anything, they may be using this to boost MVP's career. Because if he beats Paul Daly, you're legit. He's at the top of the pack, man, in the Bellator. So
well, let me ask that question to both of you then. Let's just say this fight happens, and thanks to the UFC now we can't all complain and say, well, he lost and blah blah blah, because the UFC does stuff like this often. So let's say, okay, they fight. First off, who wins the fight? But I mean, where would that go? Where if Daly won the fight, where would he go? I mean, does that loss just disappear?
I mean, probably one or two more big fights again, and then you start to talk. But
that all depends.
But with MVP, he beats Daly. I mean, he's right in line at that point.
I say then give Brennan Ward another shot then, if we're going to just start saying losses don't mean anything. And listen, I agree losses don't mean anything, and I totally do agree with that, and they don't. But at the same time, if they're not going to push us back in the rankings at all, number one, let's not have rankings, and like I said, number two, let's put Brennan Ward back in another shot, because I believe that was an unlucky shot for him. I believe he could have, maybe in that same fight, I believe he could have did differently.
Yeah, I believe he was winning that fight up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from maybe receiving that one leg whip, and then he decided taking him down. I mean, he had a vicious double on him into the cage. I was like, man.
He put some respect into it. He looked at a lot of footage. He knew what was up with Brennan. He knew how he fought. He knew what he did,
and couldn't stop it.
Right, and it's too bad. I'd like to see him fight again. In any case, well, I guess we'll disagree on that. I think it was just I hate to say stupid. It's a bit disrespectful. I understand what he was doing, but you can't call out MVP. The man's on top of the world. You just lost. Get back in line. You're a great fighter. Don't push your luck. Moving on.
Now, if MVP fought that night, wasn't he supposed to fight?
Yes, he was.
Due to an injury. So that could have been his downfall. I mean, he backed out of a fight due to an injury. maybe if that didn't happen, MVP goes out, gets a vicious, then, you know, then you could say there was nothing for Paul to do, right?
Well, I think
It was like a perfect scenario
right.
for Paul.
I think Coker was thinking, and you know, maybe not necessarily Coker. They were thinking, okay, Daly's going to go out. He's going to stop Rory. MVP's going to go out, and he's going to just totally have like the KO of the night, etc. And then we're going to have the biggest fight, etc. And it didn't. Obviously, it didn't work because nothing can be planned in MMA. We never know who's going to win.
Oh, how about this one? They didn't put him against Rory. Rory didn't call out MVP. Right?
Good point.
The guy that lost to Rory called out MVP, so it kind of puts MVP in that picture. Like now, step up, fight Paul, and then you know we can talk about
Right.
a fight down the road, because that's Rory. He just set the standard. He set the bar so high. He's like, I didn't even take any damage.
No,
What?
it was just complete destruction.
And anybody that wanted to call MVP, you know, and I wouldn't even say this as far as talent, but he's a lower echelon fighter, just as far as you know how long.
Just
he's
the
been around.
competition.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I wouldn't disagree with that.
I think he's on another level too with his.
I love
striking.
him.
Oh my gosh.
I love him.
I watched him live. You guys seen him live at Mohegan? When he,
Of course.
Oh my
Oh, yeah.
god, dude.
We love, dude. That's this. We love. This is why I love Bellator. They come and see us, and it's affordable. I can't say this enough. Get out
How about
there.
the fact that
watch
they
it.
had the Mohegan Sun Athletic Commission running the fight in that?
Like Missouri.
Yep, and
Crazy.
I seen I forget his name. He walked me out to my first fight. It was a Peter Rogers card in the ballroom at Mohegan.
Oh,
He's now a ref.
The Battle at the Sun?
Yeah.
One? Yeah. Awesome. Let's get on to Lee McGarry and Linton Vassal. What started off as a great fight, and then suddenly, I don't know if it was McGarry's gas tank or Vasal's talent over him. He just kind of started falling off slowly, and then Vassal just took over on the ground and finally subbed him out. I was a little surprised. I thought McGarry was going to get it done. McGarry kind of needed that win. He didn't get that win, though.
No, refresh my memory. The last guy that McGarry fought was Tito, right?
McGarry was on, what, a couple
No,
fight losing
who-
streak.
Did he
Who
fight
beat
after
him? He fought after that for the belt, and that's how
how
he
he
lost the
yeah.
belt.
Yeah,
I
I see
can't
that.
remember the who is holding the belt in that weight class right now. Is it DeLima?
Not sure. We
Check.
need to check.
We need a fact checker.
I think we've been so occupied with Conor.
Yeah?
Everything on the boards is all about Conor Mayweather. So
In any case, let's move right along. We have Congo. He just got a decision over Augusto. I thought that was a pretty boring fight.
very boring.
Yeah,
I think
a lot of patty
Congo's-
cake.
I sometimes I love him, sometimes I'm really bored with him. This was one of the times I'm really bored with him. And on a side note, what's up with his name, Darkness? Number one, that's remember
Charlie Murphy.
Quentin Rampage Jackson called that big dude Jones there. What was his name? He called him Darkness. The Darkness. You can't just you gotta be careful with your nicknames. That's a stupid nickname in any case. But what's
It's
this?
even in the come out song and everything. So
It's stupid. But at 27 wins, I'm not going to say nothing to the guy in a dark room or even a lit room.
oh, he shows up in fights. I think that fight was just two guys who really respected each other, and
We get that a lot.
I'm not too sure about the other guy as far as being knocked out, but Congo has been rocked. You know, sometimes that changes a fighter when he goes to engage,
It does.
because they don't remember. You know, they don't remember the knockout, or they don't even
No,
remember
right.
being rocked, or remember being in the fight. You know.
We see that a lot. We see, and I love this. Some of the fighters now, we're seeing it in the after show. They're admitting they'll tell what they remember, and then they'll say, "Now I'm not quite sure. I got to watch the fight." And I love that. And it kind of goes to what you were saying. Some of these knockouts are serious business. I mean, it's taking your brain and it's rattling up against your freaking socket and up against your skull. It's we don't know what that does, other than what we know about what it does in football, what we know about what it does in boxing. And as Joe Rogan has said, there's MMA in general is a little safer than boxing because of the rules and how they work and etc. The gloves, of course, are smaller, but it's also not going 12 rounds, etc., etc., etc. So, who knows? I guess we'll see in 20 years.
Well, in the sparring,
True.
you know, the hardest fights are in the gym.
Oh, very true.
So most of these guys are already beat up before they even get in there.
Hey, and so this is a whole side note for another show, but some of your best fighters are in the gym, and then they get to the big show and they're not for whatever reason. The quick example is Mike Whitehead. That was one of the best guys in the gym.
Yeah.
He got on the big show and couldn't do it.
That's when it comes down to the mental, right?
I guess it
So
does, yeah.
It's a lot to, if somebody's not there to really
Mm-hmm.
mentor you, it's hard to react to that.
Now
And
you've
take
been in the
control of
ring.
it.
You fought.
Yeah.
What? You know, the first time we hear a lot of people say how hot the lights are. You fought. I mean, I think you've mentioned it too. You get out there and it's really bright and really warm, and it's like, I guess even a little bit grappling at Naga tournaments, I would kind of just lose
Nerves, yeah.
focus of everything around me, but the task.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you say about your first time out there? I mean,
Well, I remember Vinny Paz came to the event and he said to me, "The hardest thing you're gonna do is to walk out to the ring." He goes, "I'll talk to you afterwards," and it was, man. Nobody prepares you for that.
No.
'Cause nobody, at that time, nobody was telling you it was okay to be scared.
right.
Right. So I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I just seen who was the guy on before me? It's Mass Destruction 21, and they
Oh,
laid it all in
jeez.
there, and I'm like, oh, you're next. You're the last fight before the break, and it was Greg Rebello, who was a kickboxer. But this is before he really took his. After that, he went on like some 18 fight win streak. He's a stud, dude.
That's Josh's
Guys.
boy. Josh Deepman loves him.
Yeah, he's a stud. Yeah, it was just it was. By the time I hit the ring, I blacked out. The nerves, I just overwhelm you, you know.
It's hard to explain, and until you do it, it's like.
And then you can't tell anybody. Oh, that was terrifying. I can't do that. And then I get to a point. I just tell everybody how it is.
What made you want to do it?
Oh man, the chip on my shoulder.
See, I love the honesty about that. Right. I mean, it's always ego driven in some way or another, even if you say it isn't. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Strike Zone changed all that. So it
Yeah, that place would give you a reality check back then, especially the stable of guys they had in there at the time.
Well, a lot of kids, they grew up doing, say, I don't know, karate or something like that. And no offense to karate, that's how I started too. But I'm saying, and then you go into a full contact school.
Yeah.
And they're sparring, and you're like, you realize real quick, am I into this?
Well, the
Or no?
one thing I tell people is, put your kids in jiu-jitsu. You're not gonna find a kid that's been trained in jiu-jitsu that by the time they make high school, they don't have that chip like a
No,
boxer.
you're humbled by that
boxer
point.
does,
Respect.
or karate,
Yes.
or they're already humbled. They don't have to prove themselves to anybody. And in reality, you go looking for a fight with one of them.
It might not end
They
up
will
so
just
well.
control the
Yeah.
whole situation. Girls can tap out grown men.
Absolutely.
With just the technique of it.
And I say this often, and it's you see ball sports in general. I bat the ball or I throw the ball and I miss, and then I throw a fucking temper tantrum and I get pissed and I'm mad at the ref and I'm mad at my team. Now, like me and Dustin know, or then you go to a grappling tournament, you go to a wrestling match, you go to an MMA fight. The guy loses. What do they immediately do? Almost always shake the guy's hand.
Yeah.
That's fucking man shit.
And then when you really get to the point, like Connor. I mean, when Connor lost to Nate, he could have handled that how many different ways.
Yep.
And instead he said, yeah, it was his night. He was the better man tonight. And then he actually came out and said, it was because I didn't train.
That's Conor
I
McGregor
didn't
saying
train
that.
hard enough
Yep.
for that, yeah. And that's not putting the blame. That's, if you can't take responsibility for the bad things,
You're
don't
the
take
one-
responsibility for
yeah.
the good things either.
Right.
It's 100% your fault.
On that same vein, Dominic Cruz, when he got destroyed, worked, and murked by Cody, he
Well, let's-
came out afterwards and he very respectable said,
Yeah.
"Wow, Cody's on another level, etc., etc." I had to respect him after that because of that, the way he
How
handled
about this? Respect the fact that he was injured. He had that, I can't pronounce it.
ACL, MCL.
Oh, but in his feet.
Oh yeah,
He said he would wake up in the morning and just to be able
bone
to walk,
spurs or whatever.
Yeah.
stick his feet in the tub.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he was out with the injuries for so long and he went back to training, his feet couldn't take,
All
there was a problem. And from what I understand, it's one of the most painful things to have. And he was in there fighting on both feet.
it's crazy.
He did not say anything in the post-fight. How respectful is that? he came out afterwards on Joe Rogan, and that's when he was like, to be honest with you, Joe, I was injured. I was just trying to knock this kid out because I couldn't do my game. And you remember he was very emotional, and Cody played off, and dude,
Cody
take
worked
nothing away from Cody.
Cody worked him.
What he did afterwards, you know, bringing the boy into the ring, no, I didn't know about that.
Listen, that kid's been following Cody's career around. Cody's been helping that kid out for a long time.
It says a lot about the person that he is, right?
And you
And
wouldn't
how
know
loyal he
that.
is to his team, and
Listen, that's the thing. It's kind of like, okay, UFC decided, all right, we're going to give this kid the push now, which kind of makes it wrestling-y to me, and I don't like that. But whatever, he's the guy now. I like him. And you know what? I got to give it up. I'm a pole jumper on him, as they say. I've only just recently started liking him. I like his look. He's all tattooed up. He don't give a fuck. He talks shit, etc. I like that. I can't help it. I like him. Having said that, let's move on. Let's get on to Baby Slice and one of his better fights, I would say.
he looked really good
He
Yeah.
did.
against a game opponent. It wasn't like they
No,
stuck him-
exactly.
stuck him in there with, like, you know.
Yep.
He came out throwing almost like Tyson-esque walk forward punch shots at first, and I was a little bit nervous, but then one connected, and it kind of changed the pace of the fight a little bit, and then I started getting a little bit excited. And he got the TKO. Good for him. I mean, it was a good thing.
I thought he actually looked good. He had good jiu-jitsu defense. The guy tried armbar him, guillotine him, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I was nervous with
He
that.
got out of all of that, and he looked, you know, he did it right. He's being trained properly, which is good.
And he wasn't he coming off a knockout?
Yeah.
Right? And he still was able to, like I said, he wasn't hesitant on engaging.
Nope.
Like, that's a fighter spirit. That's, you know.
I do say this, and I hate that they just kept talking about his father. And
I know,
It's Kimbo's
especially
fight. I
right
get
before
it.
your fight.
Right, yeah.
That reporter did kind of
She
annoy
ruined
me.
show. She took the. How are you gonna be your dad or whatever she was saying? It's like, hey, listen, I'm going out here to fight. But I will say this. I'll jump on the bandwagon. When he first got out there and the bell rang and he had it just kind of looked like
That
Kimbo.
look, yeah.
It was like, hey, wait a minute, I get it. So that was great. Good for him, etc. On that. I think that's pretty much it for the Bellator card. Is there anything else you guys wanted to bring up? I mean, let me just bring up the fact that
Overall,
lately,
good card.
I have no right calling
I
out
think first
every
4
video.
fights were all knockouts.
Yeah, it was good. Bellator's coming up. Are they pay-per-view ready? Let's see. And one more quick note on Bellator. I guess we're not quite done. If the pay-per-view that they have coming up fails in any way or doesn't happen or anybody falls out, that could be the nail in the coffin for them ever doing it again.
Yeah, that's why you need fighters like, I know he's my boy, but Brennan Ward. I mean, that kid never backs out of fights. You got to put guys like that on the card who are gonna bring in the numbers, right, and show up for the fight.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened with this whole this thing with the fighters pushing to get insurance in UFC. About 2-3 years ago now, we see these fighters. I tore my big toe, and it could result in an infection if I fall. I can't fight. So the doctor says they kind of work the doctor into allowing them not to fight, and I hate saying that because it's implying that people are less than willing to fight, but it happens sometimes. And I'll bring up examples. I mean, one of them is, and I hate saying this, but Rashad Evans used injuries to avoid certain fights to get himself to the belt. It happened. Do the research. You'll see it happen.
But then you look at, I mean, 2 of our local guys, Josh Diekman and Brennan Ward. You think they have a fight without injuries? Josh has got torn shoulders.
They're the
his
epitome
knees are-
of, like, you'll see Randy
Shows up
Couture
and
say, right,
throws down,
anybody, everybody, any of them, they're fighting injured. And you know
We're not
what?
talking about some toe that's
Right.
going to turn into a infection. I mean,
Well, ask Josh. I prepared, I'll try to get my Josh Diekman voice. I prepared for this fight, worked this fucking hard. I'm not going to let something simple stop me. I want to go out there and fucking fight. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And can you blame him? Because look, it's a letdown for everybody, the fans, the promotion, the opponent, all the trainers that have to get paid. When you understand that and look at it and have integrity like that, that's a fighter I can get into, win, lose,
Well,
or draw.
they also don't look for a way out of it. So when somebody
Exactly.
says you got to fight, you go right into training camp.
That's what I'm saying,
They're-
right.
They're not thinking, oh, let me get out of this fight. You know, you kind of take the obstacles, right?
You can let a doctor talk you into getting out of a fight. It happens. It definitely happens based on what they say, based on what they say. Because listen, a doctor's going to tell you shouldn't do anything based on a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, let's move on to, might as well cover up that 211 card. I got some explaining to do. I was completely wrong about Frankie Edgar. I can't believe he worked Yari like that. Oh, wow. First, very early on, I noticed the speed pace was different, and I was just shocked. It was like, this new Frankie Edgar's on like the Randy Couture system, where the older he gets, the better he gets. But he's done with the decisions, and, well, not quite done with the decisions, but that was always my problem with him, the decisions. But he's really putting on some power. I don't know what he's doing differently in training as far as his boxing, but his hands look so crispy. He busted Yar's open, pretty quick.
I think they pushed Yar too quick.
And that's what Dustin had said.
You could put that Frankie against Aldo and it'd be the same.
Just because he beat BJ Penn, it's like,
Great
where's
point.
BJ Penn at these days?
A lot of it comes down to the mental game of a fighter when he gets in there and you're fighting Frankie Edgar and you can go watch 40 fights. And the stories of how they train in that gym, that all plays a factor with a lot of people. Not like Frankie, but the other guy didn't have a lot of experience. Not like Frankie.
No.
I think, right, and we had talked about this on the last, me and Dustin talked about this on the last podcast, how they pushed him against BJ Penn. He destroyed BJ Penn, and they're saying he's the greatest thing ever. Was he really? BJ Penn was great. Yeah, okay, great. And that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, like you guys said, there is that. I was shocked. I thought he was going to get readily handled, and Edgar came out and he showed up. Just a brace of power that he usually shows plus. And his hands are looking great. They always did, but he's finishing them punches off with just a little more sting that he never had, I noticed, and I like it. So
well, it's kind of easy when your opponent's standing there. Remember, Aldo was just slipping him. Dude, that Aldo that showed up to fight Frankie, I think Conor would have trouble with that Aldo.
Well, I tell you what,
I'd never seen it. Was like the Matrix. They were right here, and Aldo would literally just slip.
When you can,
like he was sitting
bang, yep.
I kind of like Cody
and that
was
messes
doing
with their
with
head,
Dom.
right?
When
Yeah,
you can
same
slip
thing.
that fast, you're not only avoiding damage, you're tiring your opponent out on an alarming rate. No matter how you train your
Kills
cardio.
their confidence, man.
That too. No matter how you train your cardio, you can't train to miss a punch when your opponent's slipping at that alarming rate. It's like you were saying. That's the things that go on in the training room that a lot of people never know.
He had a lot of stuff going into that fight. He had injuries to his feet, so yeah, right there, his confidence is already low. You're fighting a stud, who again didn't have a lot of experience, but he stepped up and took on the champ. He doesn't have a lot of fights. Cody doesn't have a lot of fights.
No, not only
But
that,
he
he
went in
took
there
the champ and dismantled him too.
But I think he should have finished him. And that's one point that Dom said. He said he should have finished me. But I think he was humiliating him. I just think about it. If I'm fighting for the belt, I would never leave it in the judge's hands, right? I would finish that guy. And so it was kind of strange that he didn't.
I don't know. From the couch, yes. You're pussy, keep fighting. But listen, from reality, they're exhausted. They're just like, all right, listen.
Maybe Cody was. Yeah,
I want to throw this power
right?
punch, but if I throw this power punch, he's going to loop over the top and knock me out. I don't have enough power in my tired ass legs to stand up from that. You know what I mean?
That was his first 5-round fight, right?
It's hard to say. Look, I'm on the Cody balls right now. It's
Hell yeah, how can you not, man? That kid shows up to fights and he tries to kill you.
And
what is his injury, by the way? Did they ever say?
They're doing stem cell on his back.
On
He
his
went
back,
over to
right?
Germany, yeah.
And he's still going to fight. That's what we're hearing.
Seriously? Oh,
That's
wow.
what we're hearing. The fight's not officially canceled.
I think Conor did stem cell on his knee, right? When he fought CHAZ? Remember his knee was blown
I
out?
think it was a part. Yeah, it was a part of his recovery. Yeah.
Wow.
Connor, the man. Anyway,
He's a man.
so Alvarez Poirier. Oh, jeez. We got let down again, and we need instant replay. That fight was kind of a wash. I hope they do that again. As we said before, Poirier may unfortunately be slipping into the journeyman status if he can't get by him. He's right there close. What is he, number 9?
He looked good, though.
He did.
Yeah, he
That was
always
a
does.
hangout
Always
fight.
does.
That wasn't the best Alvarez.
Nope.
He was
That's
off.
true too.
As you had said before, he this might be still, and I hate to be disrespectful, but punch drunk from the Conor 5-shot combo. He just
I honestly think that he was out every time he hit the mat, and the mat woke him up. Because he was stiff. He was stiff as a board when he hit the mat, and he would
100%.
come back to life, and I'm like...
We've seen that before.
And you
It
heard
happens.
the interview afterwards, he was slurring his words. I'm like, where are the people that care about you?
Yep.
Like, at some point, you gotta say, just let's take 6 months, a year off.
Well, we just seen the big thing when Joe Rogan got in Overeem's face with the mic, and Overeem was...
Rambling
And
some crazy
He was,
shit.
I love Overeem. He's one of my favorite heavyweights. I don't care if he loses every single fight, but
Yeah.
he shouldn't have been on the mic. So they went ahead and they said they're not going to do that anymore. And then we saw that, and that was just, huh? And listen, it happens to all of us. I mean, if you've been knocked out, you know the feeling. It puts you in la la land for a little while. Part of it's scary, part of it hurts, part of it's embarrassing, but there's a little teeny part of it that's kind of euphoric because you kind of wake up.
I haven't been knocked out.
The joke.
Hey, I'll tell you the funniest thing.
True.
The Robin Thompson fight, Josh and I were cornering him, right? And Josh says to him backstage, he says, listen, it's okay. You know, Rob's just, I mean, I've never seen anybody take it like that. There was no emotion. He was upset, but he wasn't going to show you he was upset. He was a man, dude. He got back to his feet. I can't say more on that kid going in there and showing what he did. Even though he lost, his reaction was priceless. He got up. He wasn't moaning. He wasn't griping. He didn't do any bitching and complaining. He was just standing backstage. So Josh says this to him. He goes, listen, happens to everyone, but it hasn't happened to me. It hasn't happened to CHAZ. I'm like, dude, that's not a pep talk.
Josh!
Classic.
Yeah, he respects you guys so much and loves you guys. He felt like he let you guys down. Listen,
Oh, please.
That's how it goes.
He got in there and fought, man. He's one of the guys now. Man.
Robbie, I know you're one of our friends. I doubt you watch my MMA podcast, but if you do, I say this all the time. Losing means nothing. You got out there and you did it, and that's more than a whole bunch of people are ever gonna do in their lives. And plus that, Robbie's still one of the baddest dudes I know.
Yeah.
I don't care how technical you are with your lefts and your rights and your freaking, I don't care. If you got power shots and you can take punches, sometimes that's all you need and shit.
Oh man, if we could ever taught him how to throw a punch, he was arming that guy, right? Boom, boom.
Unfortunately,
boom,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, and the guy he took 4 hard shots before
Yeah.
the last one, man, and didn't. He kept moving forward.
Well, I mean, I
I'm
gotta
like,
get
you are a bull.
Sean Flynn had a lot more experience than Robbie did, and Robbie's got a lot of street fighting experience. You know what I mean? And Sean Flynn had a little bit more.
Plus, he was a
technical.
southpaw, so he never told us what he was.
Listen,
They gave us no info. They wouldn't even let us watch him.
I'm
warm up.
afraid to fight a southpaw. I mean, literally.
It's different. You know, it's Shaggy. Sean Cahill was a southpaw. He's another good fighter who just, put it down for a while, but he was really good. All-around game. Tough, shows up to fight.
I'm a right-handed power puncher, but I like to be off my left stance because I feel my right hand is my best jabber as well as my power punch. So I've always, keeping it up here is kind of just second hand, whereas this is like, hopefully, maybe. In any case, what do we got? What else was on that card? Joanna Jędrzejczyk destroyed Andrade. Or for you picky Brazilians, Andrade.
You guys aren't going to like my response to that.
Listen, she's the greatest, bro.
Her Muay Thai
Muay
is
Thai.
on point.
It's so on point. She's technical, no power. She's never dropped her opponent. She's had 2 TKOs, right? Early in her
She
career.
does have
She hits them with
most
everything. And
punches and
she
kicks
comes out
in
looking
them.
worse than her opponent. She had a knot in her head this big. That's why she was wearing the hat at the press conference. I'm like,
She had a
dude,
big knot in
I
her
get
head.
you. It's like Bruce Lee said. I'm not afraid of the man that's done that one. That knows 20,000 techniques that he's done one time. I'm definitely afraid of the man that's done that one technique 10,000 times. And that's why he mastered 3 techniques and would finish his fights in under a minute. That's the next step for her.
Yeah, but if all Andrade
Pick
can
one
do is
and-
put a
and
dent in
stick
her
it.
head, that's not enough for me.
Right.
Joanna was on top of every single position, one step ahead. Her footwork is impeccable. Every single time Andrade took up that space, she regretted it. So then Joanna started trying to take up the space and did it amazingly well. And then every time on the way back out, she made her pay. Technically sound, perfect fighter. Okay, maybe she don't have knockout power, but the girl's smaller than I am, and that's not good.
So, what's your opinion on St. Pierre? He was the decision king.
St. Pierre
Is that what
listen,
we're
can
gonna
I be
do?
honest? One of the most
hated
boring,
watching
one of the
him
most
play. I'm
boring
not gonna
fighters
lie.
I've ever seen in my life. And
Why
his
is
last,
he boring? Because he does it on the ground, right? which you should love. I mean, you guys, a lot of
Agreed.
people
Agreed.
watch that and don't know what they're doing.
No, I know, and I'm
They
not.
say, "Oh, that fight
right.
sucked," and we're like, "No, that was a technical."
Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
never hear me when they're down freaking when he was transitioning to go to a Darce choke or in the wizard position. You'll never hear me boo. I hate them assholes. No, agreed. But St. Pierre got into, since we're on the subject, he got and if you want to get technical, the past 4 fights John Bones Jones was in, he does the same thing too. They get in this Jackson-esque way of avoiding the real damage. Doing flashy, and what I call point fighting, and I don't mean like boxing point fighting, I mean point fighting to say, hey judge, look at me, I threw
End of the
those
round,
punches.
secure the takedown, stuff like that.
Right, okay, right, and like it's a textbook, like here's how you win fights the Jackson way.
Right.
By points. Now I get that in Naga, that's why I lost a lot of Naga matches, because I'm not out there playing the point game, I'm out there, I want to sub, I want to sub, I want to sub.
You're going for the
Right.
That's why, like, a lot of these newer tournaments are submission only.
Right.
The only way you're getting off
Yep.
that fucking mat is by winning.
What is that?
So
The UBI, Eddie Bravo. I
he's
love
doing
Eddie.
that.
I love Eddie.
Dude, 10th Planet
He's a
is
bad
the deepest
dude.
rubber guard, man, for skinny dudes like me, rubber
Oh,
guard is
yeah,
amazing.
perfect.
He
Perfect.
took jujitsu to a
another
whole
level.
exactly. He brought a
And
whole
the
new
no-gi. And the no-gi.
no-gi.
I-
Half guard, I mean, just made that an actual system,
Oh
just
my God.
working
That-
half guard.
Speaking on that, that's one of my problems with traditional jiu-jitsu training. I don't like training in the gi. I don't think like if I'm going to get, because I'm not one of these people that's looking for, and this is no disrespect to any traditional training, but I'm not necessarily, maybe it's because I've had such bad luck in gi and grappling tournaments, but I look at it like if I'm going to get into a fight, I'm going to take my coat off. So what practical sense does the gi chokes have? All 500 billion of them. And like I said, maybe I'm just jealous. I'm not as
That's why it's
Trained or not.
traditional, though. you
right,
know?
right.
Yeah.
If it's you're gonna be wearing the gi.
I
If
love
you go
no
to
gi, dude. I love no gi. It's like if I'm gonna get into a fight with a bigger guy and he's gonna take me down, he's gonna destroy me. Okay, so I want to learn jujitsu because I'm too small and I never took wrestling as a kid. Whatever your case is, so you take jujitsu. Maybe some judo.
I will tell you, if they grab your shirt, it's the same thing as if I say I knock somebody down and I go to and they grabbed my pants, so I can't pass the guard, right?
Yeah.
That can alter,
For sure. Oh yeah.
and they know their sweeps.
Especially
off
if you're
that.
real good at gi chokes. I mean,
And
I've
the
got
same
caught
one-
in some of them.
Yo,
like, what
yeah.
the fuck was
Oh, yeah.
that,
Yeah.
dude? You know. Next thing you know, my belt's around my neck.
Well, how many
yeah,
times have you got?
absolutely.
How many times have you got the X up in a fight and you just about pass out and you're like, what the? Before you really understood that, it was it'd make me mad. Like, how the hell can you control me like that? It's embarrassing.
But I think that if everybody does no gi with the gi, I think it's
Best
tremendous
of both
because,
worlds, yeah.
because then say you are getting a fight at the beach or whatever, and you have to use the holds instead of grabbing. But I think both come in. I think that makes you the
Well-rounded.
all around
Yeah.
well-rounded fighter, prepared for any situation.
Right. Is as off-centered as it sounds when you're no gi and you're sweaty, I can't. A lot of the moves I could normally get, I'm not going to get because you're just going to slip out from my grasp. There is no escape in the gi. The same choke that I could get you in when we're cold is the same choke I can get you when we're heated up. And there's a seriousness about that. You really got to be on point with the gi.
Yeah. I'm point with both. Yeah.
I mean, look, as you can say, and as Dustin can say, and maybe not my lazy ass, but you're not going to get great at anything by sitting around and talking about it. You got to
Hell
train.
no,
You
you
got to
gotta
get
do
out
it.
there and train.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, you got to do it. That's all there is to it.
Absolutely.
Let's. So
Stipe, we didn't hit on that.
Yeah.
That's the only one.
destroy JDS.
He looked good.
I think it's pretty much what we talked about on the show beforehand. JDS is just too many big. I hate being this guy. Too many big fights, and he just don't have it anymore. But man, he just don't have it anymore.
Velasquez. You know what? 100%. I think it's just JDS and where his focus was. His pre-fight interviews were talking about how he was happy and he was in a good place.
Yeah,
again.
what's up with that?
No, man. You're supposed to be focused on the fight.
Right.
Right. So you get that organized before you go into camp.
I got it. Great, Chaz. That's a great point. It was almost like he had set up his loss before he lost. Like, wait a minute. Is this your retirement speech, or are you going out to fight right now?
And let me tell you, man, that guy fights. I mean, he took a beating from Velasquez. He took a beating their first fight. With
he
Stipe.
did.
So
I think that's the coffin and the one of the
Stipe
coffin
punches
nails.
hard,
Oh,
man.
Stipe.
Because he's got those straight solid shots.
It's like I
They're
said
crisp,
before.
you know?
He can do the punch,
He's-
walk in
he's
punch, or he can do the punch, 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. He's good either way, and he
And
makes
he chases
those one
you
punch.
down with it.
Yeah, right.
My right hand is coming. You're running. I'm still gonna
Right,
hit you
see
with
it?
it.
See
And
it?
he, can,
See
and
it?
he moves. He moves as a heavyweight. The way that Stipe moves is unreal.
Yeah.
He covers the ground. He'll chase you down, and he's coming with hell. He really can't. I mean, at this point, his confidence is way up here.
Not,
And JDS was way down here.
not like Ohio athletics needed to be put on the map, but here they are being put on the map once again. Good for them. Good for the homers. That's where my daughter goes to college. So shout out. It's just. I think with JDS, I hate being this guy. Upper talent, UFC heavyweight division, I don't know anymore.
That's a tough.
There's a lot of
That's a
up,
tough.
yeah.
That's a tough. I mean, look at even Josh. He fought some guys that were well over 260. He's walking into the fights 235, 240, and they're bigger. I mean, that's when there's no way he can suck to 205. He's too massive.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
it's kind of it's a different game. When they're that tall, you gotta want to try to engage them, and that's where his fight is. And I talk to him about this all the time, dude. Once you engage, you win. Once he gets you into the fight, it's just like the McGregor Mayweather fight. I know McGregor's not gonna outbox Mayweather.
Nope.
I think the only way that McGregor could win is if he turns it into a fight. I'm gonna cut the ring off, and you have to engage me at some point during the round to get your points and win this round. And that's when he told you, I'm gonna lead him into the dark space.
I
I'll
think
finish him there.
I'm in the minority here. I think that left hand will crack through anything Mayweather can do. I'm not a Mayweather fan, and I'm a big Mac fan, so obviously I'm gonna be biased. But I'm not the giant fucking because he had the belt so long and he's a trillionaire, et cetera, he must be good. And he is good, he's great. But
He's mastered boxing
he's
and not being hit.
he's mastered thank you. He's mastered
He's like a matrix.
he's
out
mastered his style of boxing.
Yeah.
For me, it's kind of the same thing we were just talking about GSP. It's boring to watch for me. And I don't hold that against him. Great, that's what you do what you do. But the way boxing has fallen way off, still trying to repair itself for the damage that Don King has done. We'll get into that in another podcast. Now they're pulling out, reaching out to MMA. They want MMA's help now. So every fucking boxer now has to have some UFC fighter he wants to fight. I call bullshit. One of these guys got to do it. Look what happened the last time. James Toney absolutely got destroyed by one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time. Got worked, so they shut up for a while.
You seen the respect that Couture had. He shot from halfway across the cage, right?
Yep.
He knew not to stand with him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So there is a respect level there,
Absolutely.
right?
Well, look what happens when they ask Daniel Cormier, could you beat this guy, could you beat that guy in boxing? Oh, absolutely not. They're boxers. I'll get KO'd. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I love the respect level. And a lot of times they are right. Because listen, when you know you're not getting taken down, obviously, and if you don't know, there's two completely different stances. There's several different, not two different, but boxing and MMA, two completely different stances. You're not going to stand the same way when you're not worried about a fucking takedown
And
or getting kicked.
that's why I think that changes. McGregor said, "My mind isn't trained as a boxer; it's as a fighter." So his stance, I believe, that cuts off the ring. Where's Mayweather going to go without getting hit, right? I just think he has to turn it into a fight. Mayweather knows that. Mayweather just gave an interview, unlike he's ever given, where he said, he could beat me. He's younger, right?
Yep.
He's at the top of the heap.
When you're not in the street talking to him after a club or something, you actually talk to him. He's very respectful of Conor. He's very respectful of MMA, and I appreciate that about him. The amazement of that fight, I want to see so bad. Look, Conor. I say this often. He's the man. He's on a different level. When I can trick you into counter punching with me, and make you look like an idiot for it. That's a deeper chess game than we're all playing.
Well, if you think about the Diaz brothers were doing it for years.
For sure.
Because they would come out and immediately start talking trash. And Eddie, his technique was on point at the beginning of the round, but when he was engaging, the distance threw Eddie off. His right hand's fully extended, and Conor's right here with a counter.
Yep.
So he couldn't hit him. And the way Conor could feed off that and control that space.
Connor's a
was
pocket
unbelievable.
master. He is a pocket master. In and out with efficiency. And every time he leaves, he does damage. Because he don't want you thinking, okay, next time he throws the left, if it don't KO me, probably not thinking that, but next time he leaves with the left, I'm going to come in and grab. So he always makes sure on the way in and out, he's adding extra damage to whatever he's, dude, he's on another level. I can
And
talk
then look
about
at
this for 3
Aldo.
days.
You get in his head so bad that Aldo, completely out of character, attacks. Left hand came
Destroyed
right down.
Aldo.
Right? And dude, Aldo still landed that blow. I don't know. He was out. And
He was
finished
out.
that. Finished it. That could have been a
Cut
double
his eye,
knockout.
yeah,
Oh
cut
my
his eye,
god.
yeah. Listen, I mean, he hit Aldo so hard he put him in La La Land. Aldo still thinks he called out McGregor, and McGregor's scared. Nobody, look, and that's another quick thing, let me get that out. Nobody in fucking MMA is scared of anybody, and if they are,
Nope.
it's not up to us to decide. Keep
Right.
that shit to yourself. It's strategic planning for fights. You can't always fight a guy that's a can or the new guy just because he talked shit. Sometimes it's a better fight for you out there. It doesn't mean anybody's scared. Am I right?
Yeah, very true. Yeah, these guys will fight anybody. But Aldo looked great when he came back against. He defies all odds, to be honest with you. We just talked about people getting knocked down, coming back, and Eddie looking not like himself against Poirier, but then Aldo comes back and does some Matrix stuff to Frankie Edgar. I mean,
I was shocked.
I
that
really thought he was going to lose just because he had just been knocked out. But
And
he
I was saying, listen, Aldo's
Yeah.
better days are over. He's done. Maybe not. I still think they are, though. But I agree with you. Like I'm saying about Frankie. Frankie's on a tear lately, and he's found new power, new crispness in his punches. And
I think he should go down and fight Mighty Mouse. I think that'd be an awesome super fight. They're
I
both
agree.
fast.
we got to do something with Mighty Mouse
Oh
because,
my
listen,
gosh.
people are just not watching him fight.
They're
And if
not.
they are, they're not talking
He's
about
such a
it.
nice guy, dude. He doesn't really have a story, right? Plays video games.
No, right. He needs to get called
Very
some
intelligent.
hookers or something. Am I wrong? The fuck?
He's a hang out with John Bones Jones.
Right.
Create some controversy.
So, I might as well get on this. Bones is coming back. He's going to destroy DC. Am I wrong?
I hope so.
I
He's
do.
been out for a long time, but I think he's that good.
I'm not
He's
a Bones
looking
fan.
better
He's
than
an
what he did
eye-jabbing.
too. He's been CrossFitting, he's lifting, but I mean that can be a double-edged sword sometimes.
I don't
so.
like his whole camp. I think they're ulterior motives to fighting and winning. They have different views than most people do. Having said that, I think he's going to readily beat DC. That's his belt.
They're athletes competing, right? We want to see fights. That's.
So true. Great
But I
point.
tell you what, his guys will have longer careers and everything else, but the fights are very boring.
Mhm.
You know, it's like one of the most boring fights I watched was Eddie when he fought Pettis. Remember that?
Mhm.
Just put him up against the fence constantly. And he's another one, Pettis. Where's he been, man? That guy's a highlight reel. When he's on point, right?
Yeah, no.
Where's his
Sergio
last
and
fight?
Anthony are on some losses, some ups, some downs, mostly downs lately.
Well, I
don't know.
think Pettis is staying at
He's
155
gotta stop
now
moving. He
because
has to,
he
yeah.
was flip flopping. I guess he's said he's gonna. He don't like the weight cut. I don't know what he walks around at, but that extra 10 pounds from 155. 10 pounds is a lot when you're fucking
Especially-
cutting weight, you
yeah.
know.
Well, no, and then I think that's important to admit, like to bring up the smaller guys, like at your size, you're not noticing 10 pounds really. Probably like say me noticing 10 pounds.
A little bit.
I think
It's all on the abs.
Well, I think a small guy like me, I think like 10 pounds difference is not only noticeable in my physique, but it's noticeable on my legs, at what I'm carrying around, right? I
Yeah.
think somebody you're always carrying around a bunch of fucking muscles and etc. So
Well, look at Rumble. He fought at 170 at one point. I mean, that was insane weight cut for that guy.
I'm
Listen.
glad they stopped him from doing that.
Yeah,
Look at what
that
he did
was
with his
horrible.
career, right?
Yeah.
you got Rumble reminds me of like say Joe Diesel Riggs. He's been at heavyweight.
That's a fucking fighter, though, you know?
Yeah, all
Nope.
kinds of weights.
Fuck it, I'll come down.
Yo,
man.
Joe Diesel. Did you guys know this? Joe Diesel Riggs fought Herb Dean. You guys know that,
Did he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
dude?
And he won, right?
Herb
I've
Dean's
seen-
record wasn't great.
No, I know, but he was one
But
of
good
the,
for him, man.
one of the only refs that actually went out there and fought, right?
Exactly. Much respect to him.
Good referee.
Yeah, I guess that's just gonna about do it for this edition of the Boisvert MMA Roundhouse. What do you guys think?
Awesome.
You got anything? You got any shout outs? Any social media? Any needs?
Steve Teft and I started our own clothing line, Dead Weight. We'll have, I believe we're doing sweatshirts and t-shirts.
Oh,
And
sweet.
over the next
Nice.
couple of weeks we'll have them, so.
Shout out to Steve, great tattoo artist. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
Oh, man. It's one of my best friends.
that's awesome.
That's the gym. Dude, what's the name of our gym? I went down, I met the Sensei Jorge George, down in
Oh.
Westerly, where we're teaching the striking. Which, by the way, Josh Diekman is oh my God. This is unlike
going
any
to-
So
other
what's the
training.
thing? He's the striking
He's
coach?
breaking it down and making you visualize, because he explains it in detail to these students, man. And
I gotta get down
they're
there,
picking
man.
up from the time, they walk in, they have no skill, and then when they leave, they actually know how to throw a jab, and they understand what they need to practice at home, man. I'm telling
That's
you,
awesome.
he's breaking it down. I just back him up. I just try to go on some points to make the students understand what they're witnessing. He taps right into that, man.
That's awesome. Good for Josh.
Book of
Josh,
knowledge.
that's
that
for
is
sure.
great.
He's
I'm
been in the
glad.
gym a long
Yeah.
time.
A lot of experience, and we get to work with Sensei George, who I met yesterday, and he is a gentleman. Man, you want to talk about humble? He took our striking class.
Ah,
That's awesome.
Who does that?
yeah.
That guy on the mat is a savage.
So like, if you
Is
didn't
that-
already
I
respect him, now you completely
Well,
respect
I
him.
mean, it was an honor.
Right.
Like, he doesn't have to do that. He's
No.
like, I want to learn how to strike. And man, he was listening, and he picks up. I'm like, this guy's still teachable. There's no ego
Well,
with
it's
this guy.
Josh Diekman too. It's not some guy down the road. It's
Yeah.
Josh Diekman.
You're putting yourself out there in front of people who are just in your class, right? Who are students of yours.
Let them know that, hey, I'm still learning too, And it is. They say that about it's always.
Yep.
You're always, even when black belts, you're learning.
Well,
You're
plus
still
that
learning.
shows us he believes in us. Yeah, but Josh,
It's humbling. Yeah, it's very humbling.
people need to come down. We're gonna be doing 3 classes a week, and it'd be a shame to miss it.
Yeah, no, I
Because,
really would.
to get this kind of attention, and he really will work with you one-on-one through points. That's
We had a
big
phone
money,
call.
when you go to try to get that from coaches and stuff like that, right?
Right. I think our third show we did a phone call interview and the audio
I
wasn't
heard it.
great.
Was it-
So
It
we
sounded
got
good.
we got to get him in. I want to get him in, or either get him on location, get him down there to talk to him again. I owe him that respect. I'm glad I met him. He's a great friend of mine, but I just always thought that show didn't go great. But it's
That's how I
like
did it. I thought it went.
the attention
I listened to all you guys' stuff.
you guys
after
brought to
I-
the show was
After I
amazing.
saw that you guys had one.
And just the same generosity and like I told him, you guys you're helping us more than we're helping you right now. We get that and we appreciate your
Oh,
time.
please, man.
Absolutely.
If I had known this was on earlier, I would have hit you guys up early because this is. I mean, Joe Rogan says it. He goes, the best time I have is when we do the fight companion.
Yeah.
We
Right.
should do something like that too, right? Everyone does it.
Absolutely.
love to.
That'd be awesome.
I got a 70-inch 4K TV at my house, man. We can set it up there
So bring the laptop and that
Right.
down.
and have a fight companion, our own fight companion. Why not? Reach it out.
Absolutely.
Get you guys down to the school to do the, like a.
Shoot some footage, do.
Oh man, that's the one thing
couple
we're not doing.
interviews.
We're not taking. We should be taking video. That's what we got to do. I got to get a camera and videotape Josh, because that's for a lifetime that you get to see that knowledge being dumped out. That's who I learned from, man.
I'm gonna get down there. Try to get down there next Saturday if I'm not working, and I'll get a few minutes of footage without hassling you guys. Speak to you for maybe 10 minutes. Speak to him for maybe 10 minutes, and then get the fuck out of you guys' hair, and then add that to the next podcast. Just let people know what the fuck's out there. I mean, shit. Let me tell you something, dude. That's some serious freaking people training you. If there's,
And
anybody
then
can tell you anything. These guys
People
are
want
the
to
guys
say
who want
that
to train
Josh
you.
doesn't have a ground game. I was watching him teach jujitsu.
Josh has
yesterday.
a ground
Are
game.
you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? He was talking to the arm in triangle, and the simplicity of just saying, just put your arm like this. Just stuff like that. I'm
little
sitting there thinking, man,
details.
See, you probably really don't understand that till you hear him explaining.
He breaks it, but he's
Yeah.
able to. But the one thing I've learned, if you can't, somebody says, "Oh, I know that." Okay, then explain it to me.
Yeah.
If you can't explain it in detail, and at least with some type of passion, you don't know it.
Right.
This guy broke it down, and I'm like, because I've known Josh for a long time. I trained with him, but I learned by watching him. There was very little one-on-one, right? Because back then we were fighting. So now to hear him talk and break it down, and I'm like, oh man, that's amazing, man. And I always point out to say thank you, Sensei, Like, thank him for that, because there's
Those-
not a lot of people that want to
Yeah.
want to teach you so you succeed. That's
Right.
the other thing. The ego in some gyms, the coaches will teach you so much, and maybe they don't know anymore, and they don't want to admit
Right.
it, and they don't want to bring in help, right? I mean, Team Alpha Male, love Uri Faber. I love those guys. But the one thing, the common denominator is there's nobody running the class. Like, there's no structure.
They're a bunch
I'll
of bros
just point
hanging
out, when
Yeah.
Dwayne was there, Alpha Male had, I don't know, all their guys, Benavidez, the whole pack were on knockout tears. He left.
At the
He
same
is-
time, they need
proof, though.
that bringing them together
Yeah.
with the striking and the wrestling,
Yeah.
Uriah Faber and all that stuff. That's the gold mine.
Exactly.
Because
Total
without that,
package.
without Team Alpha Male, TJ lost the belt,
Yep.
right?
No, agreed.
And then
Alpha
TJ,
Male got stale with they weren't doing any. They didn't have any good striking, and when Dwayne came over there, they were all like, "Oh wait, we're a few steps behind in striking." Oh okay, and some of them were like, and like you said, Alpha Male was on the map real quick.
yeah.
And then Dwayne's like, "Yeah, all right, my stay here is over. Who's coming with me?" And then all that drama started.
Yeah, I think the communication too, because Dwayne, Dwayne Ludwig, I believe Uriah said that he already had a plan to leave, and I think that's what bothered Uriah. Well, you're not going to use me, my team, and my name to, basically go open up your own school.
Right.
Like, if you're here and you're on board, let's do this, right?
Yep.
So communication, I think, is another thing. But yeah, you definitely that combination of those two guys, unbelievable. You're right. They were dominating, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody was terrified of the wrestling anyway, so they always think, let me try to knock these guys out. You're not
I mean,
gonna- you're not gonna
every
wrestle
one of
them.
their fighters, Castillo, all of them had some nice
No, it was
knockout
some good
wins.
times.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, "Yeah, Dwayne's the man." And I remember me and you discussing several times, "Hey, I hope he kind of stays with those guys."
It's all in that footwork, and people don't. I think a lot of people, when they watch, they don't understand. The guys that stand right in front of each
The
other.
technical aspect of
It's like what Josh is teaching, and I'm like, see that this is the way people. Because if you practice that long enough, and like I said, if you do it 20,000 times, you're gonna master that. So Josh could be rocked, which he's never been. I mean, the kid's never been knocked out. He's had 20 fights. Chin's always talked. His technique is
Right.
flawless, right? If you can master that, it takes your game to another level.
It becomes memory. It's
He's
your
an
default.
inside fighter. I'm more of an outside, so I like to create with angles. I like to create with leg kicks and hands and stuff. Josh wants to get you into the fight, like fight me, and you see guys stay on the outside, peppering them, and that wears on you because now you're talking about these guys are heavyweights.
I try to stay on the outside too.
And then all of a sudden you're standing on the outside, and all of a sudden you want to go for a takedown, or now Josh is out of his rhythm, right? And I think it has a lot to do with, if he can have people around him. It's a support system. It's like some people have real trust issues because of things that they've done and that have happened to them in their past. Honest to God, he could step into UFC right now and dominate that if he wanted to, right?
Oh, for sure.
And it takes that belief in himself, right? And I think this class is going to do that. I think I'm excited about it because I think you're going to see him evolve. And right now, all he has to do is just the mental part of the game. That's all he needs to get down. And I think with him teaching this class, his confidence is going to go. That's what he needs. Because honestly, I always tell him before, I'm like, bro, you're the best in the world. Like,
Yeah.
you can go in there and do whatever you want to this guy.
Yep.
And it's just, if he can get that to line up with the competition again. Because don't forget, dude, that one time that was the #1 heavyweight in the... and
for
this
a
is
long
back-
time.
This
We're
is back when
years,
people were
years.
fighting. That's the
Years.
era he comes from. Like,
Voted
fight
in New
me.
England as the scariest fighter of all
Yes.
times.
Imagine training with him.
Listen, they don't vote you that because you're a nice guy. Although he is a nice guy.
He's a great guy. He just, people don't realize. And 5 vicious knockouts in a row, man. They were devastating. And then that was at a time when, dude, he fought
Like
one
I
guy
said,
that was
Pat
like,
Schultz, he sent him
Oh
through the
my
fucking
God.
ropes.
Right. Listen, and we're not out in California, we're not in New York, we're not in what we would say the hubs of martial arts or training in general. But what we do have lately, and it's getting a lot better lately, what we do have is a lot of schools with great lineage, from here, I mean, New England is not the lost art of martial arts anymore. There's a lot of Gracie lineage coming out here. There's a lot of boxing lineage coming out here. It's a great place. Look at our local fighters. I mean, we keep talking about Brennan Ward. The fucking guy's a stud.
Fights everyone.
Everyone.
Every fight is a fight.
Right. Josh, I mean, dude,
you can't.
These guys
can't train that.
These guys are local Waterford, Connecticut type people, dude.
Well, New England's on the map, man.
Right. Let's not forget
A lot of big
Lozon.
guys,
And
yeah,
Lozon is never
Lozon,
leaving us
Bissett.
out here in New England.
Yeah, he's a savage. Oh yeah, these guys are putting it on the map. I mean, for Christ's sakes, when Brendan fights, they said his demographics shoot through the roof.
Yeah.
Like that's.
He sells out. He puts the seats in the
He's
sun
not
when he
putting on a
fights.
show.
Yeah.
He's not putting on a show. It's crazy. Like that's really him.
I get giddy. No, right. I get giddy when he fights.
Oh my god,
dude.
dude. I get nervous, dude.
It's like
you get the butterflies.
yeah, it's like watching your friend fight. It's
Yeah.
like, oh shit, you know.
That was like what I was saying about. Oh, speaking of, on the agenda, we got a few things to get to. Boston's Toughest Man will be coming back at you in July, and probably in Brockton, Mass.
I met that guy Joe Savino. I like him, man.
Yeah, great.
I like him a lot.
You don't want to miss that.
He's a good loyal dude. You can tell when his posts with his friends and stuff. Just had person he is. I like him. We got to hang out, talk to him a lot while the event was happening, right?
Yeah. Also, Tim Marcab, great guy. He's out there. He's trying to do this. He's pushing it. He does a lot of footwork, a lot of leg work, and get out there and support local.
And
fighting
Whaling City Boxing and Whaling City Jiu Jitsu. Kent Ward and Jay Jodon. Tim
Absolutely.
both great dudes.
Yes.
Sammy.
Rolly.
Some
Rolly is
official
the man.
old lineage in them schools. Listen, speaking of New England, we got our very own Vinny Pazienza out here, or Vinny Paz, as his friends would call him.
Paz, man.
Listen, this is New England. This is the hub of whatever we want it to be lately. It's coming on strong, and we want you to get out there and we want you to support any local MMA. That's just about going to do it, Chaz. We appreciate it, brother.
No, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
This was fun. Just like you said.
Dustin, as always, what do you think?
Woo!
Over and out.